Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
You are now tuned in to this week's episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. By sharing our collective expertise, we will show you how to harness, control, and use your own skill set to achieve ultimate success and live the life you want. And now, please welcome your host.
Good to join you on the show once again. This is Omobola Stephen, the host of Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. And now the show focuses on personal development and self-improvement topics with the occasion of expert and professionals who are highlighting these topics. Personal development and self-improvement is a lifelong process that we all need to embrace in order to move from where we are to where we need to be. And it gives me great pleasure to have Regina Huber, who is a transformational leadership coach, an inspirational speaker, and author, and also the CEO of Transform Your Performance. Welcome to the show, Regina Huber.
Thank you so much for having me on, Omobola. It's such a delight to be with you and with all our listeners and viewers today.
It's a delight to have you once again. I'm loving the energy and I'm looking forward to having a really inspiring and great time with you. We're talking about mindset, asset, and talking also about leadership, which is one of the core expertise of yours. Now, Regina, you talk about self-empowering mindset and asset. What do you think that mindset? What do you think it is not enough?
Well, I put the two together, the mindset and the heart set. First of all, I want to say that we talk so much about empowering other people, right? But can we really empower other people? I believe that we can only empower ourselves because everything we need is already inside of us. It's in our mind and it's in our heart. So if you want to be at the steering wheel of your career, your business, your life, whatever it is, you got to step into a self-empowering mindset. A self-empowering mindset and a victim mindset are two opposites to me, right? As long as we're in a victim mindset, we cannot be self-empowered. So we really sometimes need to take stock and look at ourselves and say, well, what is it that might be limiting me at this time? Do I have any limiting beliefs that keeping me smaller than I really am, that keeping me stopping me from doing things that I want to do, things that I want to achieve? Do I have limiting thought patterns, behavioral patterns, habits, right? Anything that doesn't serve us. And then this is how we get out of this subconscious autopilot. Because as you may have heard, Omobola, we think about 80,000 thoughts a day. And the surprising fact here is that about 90% of those 80,000 thoughts are of the same nature as the thoughts we had the day before. So it's really, really important to figure out what the majority of our thoughts are about. Right? Sometimes we want to deactivate old stories, narratives, stories we are telling ourselves that are keeping us small, that are slowing us down somehow. So a self-empowering mindset to me helps us not to get caught up in our circumstances, but rather look at our circumstances as an observer from a bird's perspective, so to speak, and figure out how to make the best of them rather than getting caught up and trapped in them, and what we sometimes call our adversities, right? And also, and this is why I had I added the heart set to the mindset in my framework, Powerful Leadership Transformation, which is a framework that I created for my clients. Well, because the mind is most powerful when it's led by the heart. Mindset and heart set are better together. we can really be more effective, more successful, feeling better when our heart and our mind are in co-creation, so to speak. So we want to use the power of the mind and the power of the heart. The mind power is that intellectual power of the mind, that thinking power, and then we combine that with the wisdom of the heart. This is the very specific wisdom that we accumulate over a lifetime through all of our experiences. And of course, also we add our skills and our talents and all of that, but our experiences, they are so unique to us, right? And that's what we have stored in our heart, and that's what we can connect with to make our best decisions, this very, very unique wisdom. I believe, you know, and I like to say sometimes our questions are in our mind, our fear is in our mind, but our answers and courage are in our heart.
All right. Regina, I'd like us to also talk about energy and business. Now, this is something I'd like you to shed more light to with my audience. Why should I start making energy my most important business asset?
Well, I mentioned my signature framework, Powerful Leadership Transformation, right, Omobola. One of its 4 pillars is, as I said earlier, the self-empowering mindset and heartset. And another one of those 4 pillars is an energy and body conscious presence. We often hear that it takes 7 seconds to make a first impression. You've probably heard that too. However, in reality, this process is much faster because it only takes 0.07 seconds for our brains to figure out whether we can trust someone. That's about our energy. And it's very fast because this is part of our survival mechanism. You know, so it has to be this fast. Our energy speaks faster and louder than our words oftentimes. Yes, our words are very important. I always like to say words are spells. They become things, right? We create through words, we manifest through words. However, what comes behind the word, what really defines how the word is perceived, is our energy and how we are perceived, right? So we constantly communicate with the world around us and with everybody around us on an energetic level, whether we are aware of it or not. Energy has a very significant role in trust building, in business presence, leadership presence, in you know, whatever you want to call it, executive presence. And it actually, when we optimize our energy before we go into speaking situations, into challenging situations in business or in life, then that helps us enhance our perceived presence and also, when necessary, raise our confidence. So it's not so much about the quantity of the energy, not so much about the level of the energy that I'm talking here, as it is about the quality of our energy. We want to optimize our energy. What you could also call it connected with your inner power, right? Because our energy flows into everything we say, we think, we do, and even our thoughts. As I said, you know, say, think, and do. Even our thoughts impact other people. We know this, right, from Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiments. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but he proved that our consciousness, our thoughts, affects the structure of water. And he did those experiments. People can look it up on the internet if they're not familiar with them. So I don't want to go on a big tangent here, but it's really about what energy are we putting out? How do we come across? How do we communicate energetically with other people? You know, even when we came on this morning, you know, I saw you, Omobola, when you came on the screen, but this is only one piece of it, right? The visual is important. It's beautiful that we have the opportunity to see each other. It's beautiful that we have language to communicate. And it's also important to remember that we communicate energetically as well. And in business, everything is about building trust, you know, negotiations, job interviews, networking, sales, all these activities are about trust. Energy plays an important role in all of them. So this is it in a nutshell. I know there's a lot more to it. And I have come up with some energy exercises also that I put in my book, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine. There are other exercises in that book too, but the energy ones are my favorite ones personally.
All right. Thank you once again, Regina, for that insight. Talking about passion, is passion really, it's really important. I know that you really agree with me on that. Some school of thought opines that it's not really important for you to pursue after your passion. That sounds weird, but really, for the benefit of the audience of Life Well Lived, I'd like you to talk a bit about, how important is passion, and also why do we need to keep following a passion? And also, the next question I'm asking to you, one question now, is how is passion, how is it related to unique brilliance or distinctive uniqueness, as you said?
Okay, yes. So distinctive uniqueness is another pillar of my powerful leadership transformation framework, right? And there are 4 pillars, as I said. This is another one. And passion, I believe that passion is important because it keeps us going when the going gets tough. If we have passion for what we do, then we can keep rolling, even though we might not be at our best moment in a business, for example, or in our job. We all encounter challenges as we move along in life and in our careers. When we have passion, it's just easier to get through those challenges because our passion gives us that drive that is necessary to push through, right? And when I say push through, I don't mean to force it. That's not what I mean. I mean to just really move through it with enthusiasm. Take on the challenge and know that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a way we can deal with things. We are equipped in that way as humans, right? We just need to trust it. We are so much more powerful than we think we are. And this passion also sometimes comes from bringing in other interests that you might have outside your job, outside your business. And you might think that it's maybe not related, but how can you make it relevant? I'm going to give you an example. I love to dance. And I didn't grow up with dance. I grew up in a tiny little village in Bavaria. So I discovered dance later in life for myself. Right now, what I love the most is certain types of African dancing. I love Congolese and Ndombolo. I take classes for it. I have one coming up later today. And, I've done some Afrobeat classes. I've done some West African traditional dance classes, and I've done classes or dancing wherever I have moved and lived, like in Latin America, the Argentine tango. I translated some books on it. I danced samba de gafieira in Brazil and other types of samba and whatnot, right? So just to give you a few examples, all of this has been accompanying me through my life, and I don't want to miss it. But it also is more than a hobby. Dance has taught me so many business and leadership lessons. It's also taught me presence. My body posture has changed through dance. I have learned to express myself in ways that are not through words, so nonverbal communication, right? In partner dance, this communication is so important. If I do not listen to the signs and little cues and signals that my dance partner transmits to me, if I do not energetically and physically listen to it, then I cannot follow his suggestions in the dance. And if the leader in the dance is not clear, and if they do not lead intentionally, just like leaders in business, then it's not working because we do not understand what they want, right? And when you dance with a dance ensemble, then you learn how to use the space with other people. You learn how to depend on each other and communicate with each other. When I say depend on each other, I don't mean validation by others, but in a dance crew, sometimes you do athletic movements or aerial movements where people really need to be able to rely on each other and work together very well as a team. And, there's so many lessons in dance about, as I said, self-expression, creativity. Every single dancer interprets music differently. So we also learn to respect this. And my passion for dance has in this way flown into my coaching, even if sometimes a little bit indirectly, because it's taught me all those lessons. It's taught me about what we just discussed, the energy, our body energy, and all these different things, how we show up. It also taught me confidence at some point, because, when I did partner dancing, or I still do, but sometimes I wanted to dance with one of the best dancers. He was standing on the other side of the dance floor. And in order to be able to get that dance, I would walk all the way across and everybody would see me. And sometimes I would get a no, but at other times I would get a yes. And I could own both. I learned to have the confidence to ask, to ask for the dance I wanted, even though it wasn't always well seen to, for the lady to ask the man to dance. But, it depends on the dance environment. But these are just so many lessons and all these lessons flow into my very, very holistic coaching approach. That just as my holistic healing studies flow into it as well, because through those I learned a lot about mindset, about the subconscious mind, and again, about energy. So long answer to a short question. And then of course, it is related to your distinctive uniqueness, because your distinctive uniqueness includes your passions. It includes your talents, your skills, your stories, your experiences, and all these different things, all the good stuff, but also the shadow side of it. Some shortcomings that we might have, right? The limiting factors, mindset, and all these different things. So it includes the sort of the two sides of the coin, but it certainly also includes your passions.
Oh, really? Don't you think passion goes off? At one point in a person's life, don't you think passion can go off? The flame that keeps the passion going on. Sometimes, with the passage of time, it can go off. So how do you think, or what's your advice? What tips can you share with someone who feels that this passion of mine is going off? I don't think I can keep up with this. Do you think it's something that you keep going ahead with, or sometimes you should just stop the passion and go for what is next?
Yeah. So sometimes we also need a timeout. I think self-care is very important. I just wrote an article actually about hitting the reset button. We have those days that do not start quite well, for example, right? And that's when we don't necessarily feel passionate about the work we're doing, or sometimes we have to do activities as part of our business, as part of our job, that we don't really passionately love at all. Quite the opposite, but they're also part of the job or the business. So we do need to move through those moments, but I think if we remind ourselves that we always have a choice about the attitude that we bring to the table, then we can find that passion again. It might not always be super lit up every single day. It's not how we're meant to be either, but it's important to keep that spark somewhere inside of you. And for that, sometimes we need self-care, we need time out, we need to take care of our own needs so that we can find it again in us. And sometimes our passions change. Maybe we can now find a different type of passion, because we also change, we grow as human beings, right?
Absolutely. And now we want to talk about women becoming one's own boss and also advancing one's career as a woman. I know that you deal with these certain people in your business. Do you have any typical challenge, typical examples you'd like to share with women who have challenges with moving up their career, advancing their career? And also, I'd like to ask this question again. What happens to someone, or what happens in a situation when one's career becomes, one's whole identity?
Okay. To answer your first question, well, a lot of women struggle a little bit sometimes with owning their unique brilliance, really owning it. We're always told as women, you have to own your value, but first we need to know it. And so I like to guide women so that they can know their unique value. And this is a part of the distinctive uniqueness we talked about earlier, and then own it and show it. So it literally starts shining through who they are. Some women also have the proverbial or typical issues of being talked over in meetings. We can mitigate this through conversational intelligence, which is a specific methodology that I studied and added on to my repertoire in the past as well. And I use it a lot with my clients, where we use specific words, where we also pay more attention sometimes, and this is not part of conversational intelligence, but it's also important, of how we show up, where we sit in a meeting, and the tone of our voice, and all these different things. We bring it all together in a way that makes sense in those situations, and then they usually get more successful in turning that situation around and getting the credit for their ideas, although maybe somebody else took that credit away from them, right? Also, I do work with a lot of women in coaching, more so than men, although I have worked with men too, and I love working with both. And some of these women are in their late 40s or in their 50s, or even also in their 60s in the workplace. And some of them find out that younger colleagues who just literally started a few years ago, all of a sudden they find out that these colleagues are actually making more money, bringing home higher paychecks than they are. And that is always a big aha moment. So I help them move through those situations and improve their situations. I talk a lot with my clients about salary negotiations. I've also created a course, an online course, where you can prepare your mindset for a successful salary negotiation, where you can prepare your skills for that negotiation, and also then navigate through the meeting itself more successfully as well. And there's a myriad of topics we all go through, and it's not just women who have those challenges, but we hear them more often from women typically than from men. So this is what I help my clients with, also getting promotions and just also reducing their stress level at the same time. Because you also asked Omobola about how to get that balance back, if I remember your question well, and to not get too only immersed in your job or in your business, in your work. And yes, this is an important task for all of us, to really take good care of ourselves, at the same time to create the impact we want to see through our work, but also not forget about ourselves in the process, because otherwise it's really easy to get to a place of burnout, and that's not where we can make our biggest contribution, right?
Right. Thank you, Regina, for your thoughts on today's show. Regina, any exciting news you'd like to share with my audience? Any projects, Andy?
Any exciting news? Well, yes, I am looking forward to hopefully traveling to the African continent soon again. It has been put off now to the fall, but I'm very confident that it's happening, and I'm really looking forward to this because this would be speaking at a leadership summit and at another event. And yeah, and I just look forward to it. I did post a few things about it in the past. It's still happening. It's supposed to happen in Zimbabwe, so watch out for that if you are anywhere nearby. And here, well, I am doing a lot of really awesome sessions. Like next week, for example, I have a session which will be mostly composed of women, although not only, at a company where we talk about how to enhance visibility and your presence, your leadership presence in an organization. So I'm looking forward to that. Many things happening, many exciting things. Yes, I love serving my clients, and because when my clients are successful, that means I am successful, and I really measure my success by looking at my clients' successes, and this is how I renew my passion.
Absolutely. Any important words you like to share?
Well, one thing that I would really like to say is, if you do not have a role model, don't worry, because you really don't need a role model. Now, I never was big into role models personally.
Are you kidding me?
Sorry?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, because some people have a hard time finding role models and they feel lost, and I want to encourage them that it's not necessary. If you have a role model, great, take what's good about that role model. Don't copy everything. You are you and they are them, right? But take what you can from other people, the inspiration. I'm an inspirational speaker. I love to inspire, and I know you love to inspire through this podcast, right? This is very, very important, to get inspiration from others, but always remember that your path is unique. And if you want to make the most of it, you got to stay true to who you are. You run your own race, your own show. It's not about, this is also important to remember, it's not about competing with others. It's about growing as who we are, right? And when we compete less, we can redirect that energy towards our own potential and brilliance, and explore that more. And that can really help us move forward better than competing with others and looking at others, right? And as I said earlier, you are the one who can empower yourself, and you are the one who makes your decisions. So walk on your own path.
Thanks for the motivation. You like to share your social media and your website?
Yes, absolutely. I am on LinkedIn. I have a career growth strategies newsletter on LinkedIn. I love to offer free resources. This is one of them. Another free resource are my YouTube videos. My YouTube channel is @Regina Huber, like my first and last name. My website is transformyourperformance.com, same as my company name, Transform Your Performance. And I have a book on Amazon. It is called Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine. It gives you some techniques to prepare for challenging situations. If you'd like to check that out, it's available as Kindle or in print. I also have a free offer for anybody who's really committed to creating positive change for themselves and others as well. So to level up your leadership of self and others. And if you are committed to that, then I'd love to support you during a complimentary 45-minute session with me in a completely confidential setting. It's one-on-one. And the link to book that session would be transformyourperformance.com/leader-up-level, all one word.
Right. I will be thank you once again, Regina Huber. I really had a great time, having this discussion with you. I wish you all the best in all the projects that you embark upon now and even in the next future.
Oh, Omobola, you have been such a delight to speak with today, and I can only say the same. I wish you all the best. I hope we stay in touch, and I wish everybody listening all the best.
Sure. Now, if you'd like to catch up with any missed episodes of the show, you can do so on any cross-promotion or distribution platforms you bump into, and do have a great time listening to the show. Perhaps you'd like to be a guest on Life Well Lived, share disruptive mindset conversations and topics, on self-improvement and also personal development. You can send a mail to omobolasteven.outlook.com. I'll be looking forward to your mail. We can be the change that the world is waiting for. Till I come your way, I need you to stay and be God, Taxon.